Like ved Kanariøyene på Afrikas fastland lærer Europa sine egne kortsiktige interesser gå foran prinsipper om menneskerettighet og fred. Velkommen til SANDFAST, vår podcast om Vest-Sahara, den siste kolonien på det afrikanske kontinent. Visste du at en militær mur deler Vest-Sahara? Festningsverket, som er 2500 km lang, består av verdens største landminefelt og er like langt som Norge. Muren deler Vest-Saharas folk i to. Selv er jeg født i de saharawiske flyktningleirene øst for muren. Dagens gjest i vår podkast, Nazha Eklhalidi, er født og bor på den okkuperte vestsiden. Nazha er journalist og vil fortelle om livet i det hermetisk lukkende okkuperte land. Hi, Nazha. Welcome. I'm very happy that you could join us today. Thank you very much. Nazha, you are a journalist and member of the media organization, Equipe Media. Could you just in the start give us a brief introduction about you and more about the situation in the occupied territories of Western Sahara?
Thank you so much, Asriya, and thanks to the support committee for the great work they are doing to support the Sahrawi case in Norway. My name is Nazha Eklhalidi. I'm a human rights defender and journalist, member with a group of media activists called Equipe Media, based in Laayoune, the occupied territory. I was born in here and raised in Laayoune. Of course, we have zero rights in our homeland because of the ongoing illegal occupation that oppressed the Sahrawi people. And the people are showing up this through the peaceful resistance for many, many decades. Of course, Morocco is not accepting this resistance and confront the peaceful struggle with the violence, taking people to the prisons, beating people in the public streets, and arrest people in the custody, torture them, and of course sentence the activists and the ordinary people to many, many years in the prisons. These moments that I'm talking to you, there are several prominent Sahrawi human rights defenders that are currently finding their home completely besieged by Moroccan forces, especially after the breakout of the restarting of the war and after Morocco violated the ceasefire. So Sahrawi people find themselves suffering in silence since there's no press agencies in the ground. No observers can report the situation of the human rights situation in the occupied territory. And Morocco is closing the territory and just pursue the activists who try to break this media and military blockade and try to share the informations with the international human rights organizations and with the observers. So Morocco is committed to crimes against humanity, but nobody saying no and nobody stand against this abroad.
Journalists reporting on the massive crackdown against Sahrawis in the occupied territories of Western Sahara, you are yourself facing a repression and arbitrary arrest. Tell us more about your work. What are the challenges that you and your colleagues in Equipe Media, Noshata, and other media organizations are facing under the Moroccan occupation?
Maybe the people when they hear that we are part of an organization, they might imagine that this organization has an office and that the members of this organization are working freely, but this is not true. It's the opposite. We don't have an office and we don't have space to work freely. You know that Morocco is forbidding us from only meet each other. And we are not allowed to just have a meeting in our houses. Morocco doesn't give us any authorization. I wouldn't say authorization, but give us a freedom to work and to express ourselves and to share the truth and the reality that's happening in here. So instead of respecting the right of speech, they just criminalize the activists and criminalize the journalists, for example, at Equipe Media and at the other media groups in the occupied territory. So just to give you an over image on how we work, all the work we do is clandestine work. When it comes to filming the protests, we are not allowed to hold our cameras and just go to the place of the event and filming freely. If the police see the cameras, will tool this camera and just take us to the prisons. So we use high buildings and the houses that's close to that point where the event is taking place to hide our cameras and also to avoid the arrestation. So this is how we film, for example, the demonstration. When it comes also to taking testimonies of, for example, political prisoners, their families, and the victim of torture who is released from the prison or something, we cannot go just directly to the house. We need to have a plan. We need to prepare for that normal visit for many days until we get to that victim, because his house or her house will be sieged by the police and we will be followed, and of course the police will target us because they will know that we are there only to take the testimony and to publish about what Morocco has done to that victim. So it's very complicated when it comes also to the normal investigations that every journalist can do in country. For example, some investigations on the situation of the political prisoners. We cannot go to the trial to ask for the file of a prisoner because the workers are Moroccans, the trial is Moroccan, and all they are al-Makhzen. So they all work for the police, and they will report us, and we will be just taken to the prison. And also nobody will give us the information because everybody is afraid. The lawyer are already are also, for example, threatened by the police. They cannot give us the information about the prisoner. So it's very hard to report about the details of the charges, fake charges that this prisoner is accused with, because the information is rarely, you cannot find it. When it comes also the natural resources, Morocco is stealing tons, for example, of fish, phosphate, but nobody reports about this side of one of the crimes that Morocco is doing. The occupation is doing against the people here, stealing their natural resources. You cannot go to the companies. We don't know where the companies are. We don't know we know where they are, but we're not able to be close to that area. We cannot meet these foreigners that work for these companies and that own these companies. We cannot do any kind of investigation on that. All the workers are Moroccans. And if you find only a few Sahrawis, they don't have the informations. They give them positions that doesn't allow them to get sensitive informations that can, because they know that all Sahrawis are against these violations of the international law. And of course, they can help activists with these informations. So the space of our work is very, very limited. So Morocco, trying to make the information less as much they can, that's the information that we share with the world. Now we found ourselves we can only film the demonstrations and the protests, but what about the investigation that can change the reality, that can really expose Morocco?
Could you tell more about your case? You are Sahrawi in the occupied territories, you are a journalist and human rights defender. Your case and story is the story of all the journalists and the Sahrawi people in the occupied territories.
Yes, I've experienced it. So just to also make this clear for everybody listening to our conversation, all the activists are victims of the arbitrary detention, and media, all the members of media are victims of arbitrary detention. They are former political prisoners. They have experienced torture, and some of them, they are behind bars now, sentenced to 20 years, 25 years, and to life to the prison. So I was arrested 2 times. One was in 2016 when I've tried to film a female demonstration that was organized by women who raised the Sahrawi flags and chanted with the slogans that ask for independence. And we have been targeted by the police, beating the women and arrest me, took me to the custody where I spent 1 night. They didn't give me any justification of why they steal my camera. and why they arrest me. And I was released as nothing happened. So the second time was in 2018. It was during the negotiation between Front Polisario and Morocco. And then the people were supposed to protest in the street peacefully to like support this peaceful negotiation and to also raise up their voices, showing that they support the independence as a solution and nothing except the independence. But unfortunately, as every day and as all the time, Morocco take this step of like surrounding the streets, surrounding the houses of the activists. And I was determined to film how Morocco is using like normal cars and how the police were like with civilian clothing and trying to target the people without let them know that they are the police. So I raised my phone and I started a live streaming and I started filming one of these cars. And then I was targeted by 5 police cars, followed by them in the streets, and they just ran after me, beating me up in the street, and then took me to the custody and stolen my phone. And of course, interrogated me, and I spent like 5 hours under ill treatment and interrogation. And when I was released, they didn't give me any legal reason why they have done all this, just because I was filming 4 minutes in the public streets. And what I was filming something that they believe that's legal. So why they are afraid from this, like from being filmed?
Did they give you back your phone?
When I was released, they kept the phone. I asked them to give me back my phone, and they said no. We want this phone, and we will see what we will do. They promised that they will publish my personal information. They promised that they will publish my pictures, and they started doing that. Actually, they started their media campaign against me, starting publishing using my personal information really in a very bad way. But then after 3 months, they want to pressure me more and more. I didn't keep silent. I've already worked on the case and I've already communicated with human rights organizations and stuff like that. After 3 months, I received a call from the Moroccan prosecutor who say that I am accused with a charge which is filming without having an authorization from the Moroccan administration. And this charge regarding the Moroccan Penal Code, the punishment is being in the prison from 3 months to 2 years with paying a fine or paying a fine. So actually I was surprised because I was filming only 4 minutes and I didn't share any personal information about anybody. I didn't do things wrong. And then my phone was stolen. I was beaten up in the street. I was taken to the custody. I was under threats. And then my personal information was published. And their articles that they publish about me, every articles, at the end of it, they say we promise to also publish more and more. I was through all this pressure. And at the end, they accused me with this accusation.
We have talked about how female activists are targeted different ways than male activists, using methods of targeting the girl's reputation for intimidation. And the only goal is to stop them from their activists. So you can listen more about this topic in our previous show with Tuna.
Exactly. It's just to intimidate me because they know the nature of the Sahrawi mindset, society, and that we are Muslim, Arabic, African, from third world countries, societies. So that's why they go through this, because they know that the woman is a bit weak in these patriarchal societies, so they know how to control them more and more, unfortunately. But that didn't work. Yes, it works actually for a while, but after that you understand and you used to it, so that's why it didn't affect you anymore. When I received this accusation, I had this document from them, which is the call for the trial. And actually, it helps me a lot to convince the International Human Rights Organization to work on my case. This is how we put pressure on Morocco. It's our turn now. And this is how my colleague, my friends, and our friends in Europe save me from being in the prison. And at the end, the sentence was paying a fine with 400 euro. But I refused to pay this fine because I believe it's just legitimizing what Morocco has done to me and legitimize this, illegal punishment that Morocco is using to stop me from sharing the truth and from being a truthful journalist that only share what I live in my country. So I'm not going to pay this. And I believe that Morocco will take other measures to push me or to pressure me to pay this fine, but I will not pay Morocco to do this again with someone else and to do this again to me. And more than this, I don't have a job. I've studied and I finished my study, and I don't have work because I'm in the blacklist for the Moroccan government, and I'm not able to get a job.
There is not a single university in Western Sahara. I mean, can you talk about the Sahrawi student situation and what kind of opportunities they have after that they finish their education?
So it is just a part of other side of our tragedy, actually. As you say, you are able to study until high school in here. And then if you want to finish your study, you have to travel to Morocco. And if you are there, you are going to be selected in a few branch. Not all the branches and subjects you are able to study them. And when you are graduated, you are not able to get a master because you have to pay also some money. So of course it's very hard for girls to travel, since not all the Sahrawi family accept their daughters to be in a foreign country in Morocco, which is not safe for Sahrawi men. So that's how it can be for a woman. Like the Moroccans are victims, unfortunately, of the Moroccan propaganda about the whole conflict and what's going on here. And they discriminate the people, unfortunately. And here we talk about the ordinary people in the public streets. If you are just walking around in Moroccan cities, you will be provoked by the people passing beside you, saying that Sahara is Moroccan, you are the enemy, go back to Polisario. And inside the universities, the administration of the university are working for the police and the Moroccan Service Intelligence. The teachers are working for the police. They provoke you, the teachers, and give you some topic that talks about the Moroccan Sahara, for example. And you have to deal with this. If not, then you are against the state and you will be in imprisonment and you will be targeted and you will fail in your studying.
It is clear, Nazha, how the Moroccan regime treat the Sahrawis. But what about the ordinary Moroccans when you are studying in Moroccan universities, in Moroccan cities?
So I think that who is benefiting from the occupations is the Moroccan settlers. So the Moroccan settlers who are here, they studied the primary school, secondary school, high school. And when they finish their study, they go back to Morocco and they keep their studying in a very comfortable space. And when they finish, they come back to Western Sahara and they get a very good job. But for us, no, we go to foreign country, we suffer a lot there, and you don't have money to survive there. You have to rent, and not all Moroccans rent to you because you are Sahrawi.
We can't end this show today without talking about the COVID-19 impact on the occupied territories of Western Sahara. It has been over a year since the outbreak of the pandemic. I mean, more restricted rules have been implemented all over the world. In Norway, for example, the people have very high level of trust in their government. People would follow all the recommendations because they know that these governments want their best or these restrictions are in their best interest. Unfortunately, it's not the situation in all over the world. There are some regimes that they are exploiting these rules to even more oppress people. Isn't this the case also in the occupied territories?
So, yes, actually, it's the greatest problem now for us because Morocco is using this pandemic as an excuse. So they can start the quarantine anytime they want, like the order to be inside homes at 9 p.m. and no movements outside, sometime at 6 p.m. So the people are just waiting for this new prison, new ways of the repression. And when Sahrawis heard about the outbreak of this pandemic in Spain, everybody were really worried, were really scared, and we keep ourselves inside, washing our hands all the time, like keep ourselves isolated. But then like when they started like to make these measures less than before, for example, in the public streets, like everybody is walking and the police target only like the Sahrawi women with the melhfa. The police came and target them and like just beat them because they said that we have these rules to prevent you from being together because of the pandemic. Of course, the pandemic is really stressed us a lot, because Morocco has a really strong excuse now to just oppress people more and more. The Morocco really eliminates any kind of movements in the streets now. There is no movements in the streets.
Yeah, for example, the case of the human rights defender Sultana Khaya, who has been under house arrest for over 4 months.
Exactly, they have been like surrounding her house and just keep her at house arrest, and she was resisting that and she defended herself, and I really greeting her from my place because she was really strong. She raised the Sahrawi flag. We haven't, the Sahrawi flag, when you raised it, it's just like for 3 minutes, 2 minutes, the police came and take it. But Sultana was keep it raised for almost 5 months now, which is really great. But unfortunately, she was also victim of beating. She was about like losing her eye after she was hit by the police with a stone. But she keep struggling this. But the Sahrawis, the Sahrawi are waiting only for spark, The Sahrawi have been oppressed for 5 decades now. Survivors from like 16 years from the forced disappearance. And they need just a spark, They need just like a small reason to just make this explosion and everybody will be in the streets.
Hvis du vil lære mer om konflikten, gå til vest-sahara.no.